As promised, it's Sunday night, and I said I'd answer those last questions from last week. Weekend's done now. It's Sunday night. As you've seen this, I'm actually down at Larford, so I've just uploaded this up early this morning for you. Just the remaining questions from last week. There's been loads of questions coming in, which is great. Please keep them coming, because I know that obviously I'm putting content on here that you actually genuinely want to see, because you're the ones that have asked the questions. So the first question was ground bait, wet or dry. Somebody's asked me about ground bait, how and what kind of consistency I usually start a session with. As we all know, you can mix a ground bait in lots of different ways. You know, you can mix it really dry, you can mix it kind of medium, or you can mix it really, really sloppy, really wet. What I tend to do is just kind of, on a lot of occasions you might have two mixes. If you're fishing for roach on a short line, roach, perch, whatever, you might have a dry mix. And then if you're fishing for bream or skimmers on a longer line, you might have a wet mix for that. So sometimes we have got two different mixes anyway. But one thing that I learned quite a while ago, and I learnt it off some of the England feeder lads, that by using a slightly larger bowl for your ground bait, you can have a mix in there that's quite dry. But what you can actually do is, if it's square, for example, you can use one corner, or if it's round, just one small section of it, where you can just keep adding water to it if you wish. So you've got a nice dry mix. You can separate it out, so there's a gap down the middle, and you can just kind of work one little corner. And if you feel you want to wet it, or try it over wetted in your peg, you can have a little tub of water next to you and just keep adding water to it while you're fishing, and that way you can play around with the mix while you're sat waiting for bites, and that way you're not mixing an entire batch that's wet, that if it doesn't work, you've wasted all that ground bait then, haven't you? So just by kind of working one little corner, you can also put little freebies of you know, your loose offerings in there as well, just a sprinkling in there, and it can be a good way of fishing when you're speed fishing, just a quicker way of adding freebies into your ground bait, so you can fill it nice and quickly and easy. And like I say, because you're only working one corner or one part of the ground bait bowl, you're not ruining the rest of the mix. Simple as that. The next question was gravel or silt. Right, the first thing I'm going to say is, I know there's some very, very good anglers out there that have won more titles than I have, and they don't pay any attention to fishing over gravel or silt. Simple as that, period. I can name them, but I won't, because I don't know if they want you to know that. Some people look for gravel. I look for gravel when I'm fishing places on commercials like Barston, that a lot of people know. I like to look for gravel just because I think you get, or I usually get, better bites over gravel. These lads, like I said, the other lads that I won't mention, they just clip up at the required range. They obviously have a cast out, make sure there's no snags or anything there, but they'll just fish over, whether it's a soft lake bed or gravel or whatever. They don't think it makes any difference. But I think with the method feeder, certainly it matters, because obviously, you know, you don't want, especially if you're casting at range where you've got quite a bit of weight on, and you know, if that's going into soft silt, it's obviously going to affect the presentation of everything. Sometimes the fish might not even be able to get to it if it's a really soft bottom. But I've just generally found, especially when fishing a cage feeder at places like Barston, that I've always had better bites over gravel, because I think when you're putting loose offerings in and ground bait into a really soft silt, as you can imagine, a soft silt, any loose offerings are going to go into it, and fish are rooting about in it, you know, because it's not just laying on a hard surface, they're rooting about for it. And you know, you're fishing obviously with a cage feeder, you've got a hook length from anything from, I don't know, 15, 20 centimetres up to 50 centimetres. That can move around, and I've had nothing but problems with it, especially in summer when there's more fish around. You know, it's caused line bites, and I've pricked fish, and it's just unsettled the swim. So I just do it for confidence. I just feel that I've always had better bites over gravel. But obviously, as we all know, there are areas on venues where there just isn't any gravel. There are pegs at Barston and sections at Barston where there's hardly no gravel at all, so you've got no option there. But that's just a confidence thing. I look for gravel, and if it's within the required range, obviously, if it's nowhere where I think the fish are going to be, then I'll obviously ignore it, because the range is you know, obviously mega important. So for me, I'll go for gravel if it's there and it's within the right range, but that is just purely confidence. The next question was from someone who saw the clip from the day out that I had with Joe Carras at Match Fishing Magazine. They obviously saw what the conditions were like that day. I was fishing into a really strong headwind, and they just wanted to know what kind of feeder I was using. I used the same sort of rod and reel that I usually use, which was the 3.3 metre Legend Slim, perfect for that. Obviously I'm not casting forward with that rod anyway, but all I do is I switch to where I normally prefer a little, a little flat bottomed cage feeder for that sort of fishing. I just switch to one of the Horizon feeders. It's one of those things that, I mean, if you just think about it really, these feeders are designed for fishing at range, and that's what everyone's got in their head, that they're for fishing at range, when in reality, feeders like that are also exceptional for casting into strong winds as well. Obviously, even if you, I had one line at 30 metres and one line at 15 metres. The 30 metre line is not obviously a massive range, but because of the wind, I needed something of a specialist design like that just to get out there. So it's just a little bit thinking out of the box a little bit, but the answer to the question is that's the feeder I switched to, and they're great when the wind's strong. The other question I got asked was about hook length. The hook length knot. I don't really hear about anybody attaching their hook length in many different ways. Most of the people that I know attach the hook length the same way that I do, and the way that I've always done, because I was taught that way and I've never had any problems with it, and it's basically loop to loop, simple as that. But I did comment on that to somebody on Facebook, and they didn't really know what it was. I think they will know when they see this, but it's loop to loop. It's basically just two loops, one in the hook length line and one in your main line, and you put one through the other, and then the hook through the loop that's gone through the other loop, and then pull it tight. Simple as that. So I'm just going to quickly try and show you that. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on this camera, but I'll just quickly show you. Okay, right, I don't know if you're going to see this. So I've got two lengths of line, one will represent the hook length, one the main line, and I'm just going to put this shade here. That might allow you to see it a little bit better. So all you do, hopefully you can see this, you can pretend that side is your hook length, that side is your main line, and all you do is thread the hook length through the loop in the main line, like that, and then you get your hook that I haven't got on here, but that then goes through that loop and you pull it tight. It's best to wet it first, but I'll not do that. And that is a simple loop to loop attachment, just for attaching your hook length to your main line. Like I say, incredibly simple. I have mine a lot smaller than that. I don't know if you can see, but I tie them smaller than that. But that's it, loop to loop, nice and easy, very, very strong, and I can't see why I'd want to use anything else. Obviously, a lot of the vlogs lately have all been about Boston. It's just because it's somewhere that I fish this time of year, and someone's asked me about how do you get on the matches there and how do you get to find out about them. Massive respect to Nigel at Boston, and I've always said this. He is incredibly organised when it comes to planning matches, and the great thing about that is people like us that they've got full-time jobs, blah blah blah, we can plan. He put the dates up for this year well before Christmas on their website, and what I'll do is I'll put a link below to their website. I've got a feeling most of, if not all, the matches for this year are probably already booked up, but there's no harm in looking, so hopefully they're not, if any of you are interested. But it's all through their website. It's a great website. I'll put the link below. It's Boston Lakes, and you just book on through there and you actually pay on there. It's a great way of booking onto matches. You pay your money, so when you get to the draw, Nigel's got a printed out list of everyone who's there, who's paid. It's fantastic. And the last question, it's a good one, that one. This is something that I've discussed in quite a lot of detail with my good mate Richard Vaughan. It really stems, the way that my thinking with the hook whippings is, A, obviously you've got to put enough around your hook for it to hold, and B, I think a big issue is, especially when you're fishing for skimmers in winter and that, the weight of the hook is very, very important. And something that Dean Barlow taught me about 5 years ago was, if you can improve your fishing by little percentages in a lot of the things that you do, all of a sudden, accumulative, you might gain 15-20% of a benefit over the anglers round you. And it was fantastic when Dean explained that to me, and when I really looked into the way that I fish and every aspect of what I do, I could always find a little bit of room for improvement in almost everything I did, and that's what I've worked on since then. One of the things is hook whippings. We think about the gauge of the wire that we use when we're fishing for skimmers, like I say, especially in winter. All fish, I keep saying skimmers, but that's because that's what I'm doing this time of year, and obviously that's something that I really love doing. When you talk about fish picking up a bait, they feel the weight of the hook, the size of the hook, obviously the shape of the hook matters, and the hook length line as well. And when you think about all that, you know, when you really get into detail about, you know, whether a fish feels the weight of the hook when it picks the bait up and all that sort of thing, the number of whippings that you actually put around your hook, actually, I know it's going to be microscopic, the actual additional weight that you add to your hook by doing that, but you are adding weight to it. You know, if you think about it in an extreme, if you put one whipping on, obviously that is going to weigh something. If you put 200 whippings on, it's going to be a weight difference, whatever line you're using. And the answer to the question is 7. I use 7. I know most people that I know use more than that. They put more whippings around their hook shank than I do. But I have 7. I've never had any problems with it. I wouldn't like to go less than that. I just think whatever diameter of line I'm using, that's fine. And again, I suppose it's a personal thing, but it's very much a confidence thing as well. So all I can do is answer that, and I use I tie all my hooks on with 7 whippings around the shank. And that's it really. Some more questions have come in again today, so that's brilliant. Like I said, as you're watching this now, I'm actually down at Larford. Big heads up to everybody. If the evening uploads are going to happen this week from tonight you will find out. As this is getting uploaded, I will be in the digs actually working on that now. So please, subscribers, you'll know anyway. If you're not a subscriber and you're interested in being kept up to date with what's on at Larford this week, where we're down there, please just subscribe. You'll get a message telling you whether that's going to happen or not. I'm going to try my best for you. If it's on, it's going to be on tonight. So, you know, if it's on tonight, brilliant. That means there should be one every night this week up until Thursday, which is the end of the festival. If not, massive apologies. It's not because I haven't tried. I'll have tried everything I can to do it, and if I fail, I'm sorry. But whatever happens, Thursday, 6:30, the vlog on will be on as normal. So yeah, hopefully that won't be the next time we get a chance to speak to you, but hopefully in an hour or two there might be an update of what's happened today. Thanks for watching. Weekend's over, it's Sunday. Hope work's not too painful in the morning. And you know, if I don't see you or speak to you before then, Thursday night, 6:30 as normal. Thanks again for watching.